The autumn rain drummed against the windows of our colonial home in Westchester County, New York, creating that hollow echo that always reminded me of loneliness. It was October 15th, 2024, and I was folding laundry in our master bedroom when my phone buzzed with a notification that would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 38 years old, and until that moment, I believed I was living the American dream. My husband David, 41, was a successful financial advisor at Goldman Sachs, pulling in $350,000 a year. We'd been married for 12 years, lived in a $1.2 million house on Maple Street, and I worked part-time as a yoga instructor at the local wellness center, making about $45,000 annually. We had 2 kids, Emma, 10, and Jake, 7, both in private school at Westchester Prep Academy, costing us $25,000 per child annually. The notification was from our joint Chase bank account, a withdrawal of $8,500 cash. On a Tuesday afternoon, I stared at the screen, my heart beginning to race. David never withdrew large amounts of cash. He was obsessive about credit card points and digital transactions. I called him immediately. "Hey babe, what's up?" His voice sounded strained, traffic noise in the background. "David, why did you withdraw $8,500 from our account?" Silence. Long, painful silence. "David, are you there?" "Oh, that. I'm looking at buying Mom a new car. You know how her Honda's been acting up? I wanted to have cash ready for negotiations." His mother lived in assisted living in Florida and hadn't driven in 3 years. "David, your mother doesn't drive anymore." "Sarah, I'm in the middle of traffic. Can we talk about this later? I love you." He hung up. I stood there in our bedroom, surrounded by our family photos, our expensive furniture, our perfect life, and felt the first crack appear in my world. The rain kept falling, and somewhere deep in my chest, a cold dread began to bloom like a poisonous flower. That evening, David came home with flowers. My favorite white roses from the expensive florist on Bedford Avenue, the kind that cost $85 a dozen. He was never spontaneous with flowers. Never. "What are these for?" I asked, taking them but keeping my distance. "Can't a husband buy his beautiful wife flowers?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. His hands were shaking slightly as he loosened his Hermes tie. The kids ran to hug him, and I watched as he held them a little too tight, a little too long. Emma pulled back first. "Daddy, you're squishing me." "Sorry, sweetheart. Daddy's just happy to be home." During dinner at our dining room table, the mahogany one we'd saved up for 3 years to buy, I studied David's face. We'd been together since college at NYU, met at a fraternity party in 2007 when I was 21 and he was 24. I knew every expression, every tell. After the kids went to bed, I cornered him in his home office. "Show me your phone." "What?" "Your phone, David. Show it to me." "Sarah, what's gotten into you? This is crazy." $8,500, David. Show me your phone or I'm calling Chase Bank tomorrow to get detailed records of every transaction. His face went pale. "You don't trust me?" "Should I?" He unlocked his phone and handed it over, but I noticed his thumb swipe quickly across the screen first. I scrolled through his messages, call logs, everything looked normal. Work contacts, his gym buddy Marcus, his brother in California. But then I noticed something. His Venmo history showed regular payments to someone named A. Morrison, $500. Every 2 weeks for the past 8 months. $8,000 total. Who's A. Morrison? My trainer at the gym. I told you I started working with someone new. David, you work out with Marcus. You've worked out with Marcus for 5 years. Sarah, you're being paranoid. This is insane. But I could see it in his eyes now. The same look he'd had in college when I'd caught him cheating with his study partner. The same guilty, cornered expression. That night, I lay awake listening to David's breathing, planning my next move. The rain had stopped, but the silence felt even more ominous. The next morning, after David left for his 7:30 a.m. train to Manhattan and the kids went to school, I became a detective in my own life. I started with his laptop in the home office, the one he thought was password protected. After 12 years of marriage, I knew his passwords. Emma 2014, the year our daughter was born. His browser history had been cleared, but his email autosave had failed him. In his drafted messages folder, I found correspondence with someone named Amanda Morrison. The emails made my blood run cold. Can't wait to see you and the baby this weekend. Tell Lily Daddy will bring her favorite books from Barnes & Noble. Daddy. Baby. Lily. My hands shook as I scrolled further. Photos. A beautiful redhead, maybe 28 years old, holding a toddler who had David's distinctive green eyes and dimpled chin. The child looked about 18 months old. I printed everything. 37 pages of emails, photos, even Zillow searches for apartments in Hoboken, New Jersey, where apparently this Amanda lived. Then I called my sister Rebecca, a divorce attorney in Manhattan. Beck, I need you to come over, now, and bring your legal bag. Sarah, what's wrong? You sound terrible. David has another family. The silence on the other end lasted forever. I'll be there in an hour. Rebecca arrived with coffee from Starbucks, and the grim expression I'd seen her wear in court. She examined the evidence spread across our granite kitchen island like a CSI technician. Jesus Christ, Sarah. This isn't just an affair. This is a double life. Look at these dates. He's been supporting them for almost 2 years. Before this, Lily was even born. What does that mean legally? It means he's been committing fraud, hiding marital assets, supporting an illegitimate child with community property. In New York, you have grounds for an at-fault divorce. You could get majority custody, spousal support, and a larger share of assets. But there's more, isn't there? I could see it in her face. Sarah, look at this email from last month. She pointed to a message I'd missed. David discussing buying Amanda a house in Hoboken, using our home equity line of credit. A $150,000 down payment he'd already secured approval for without my knowledge. He's been forging your signature, Sarah. This is identity theft. This is bank fraud. This isn't just divorce court. This could be federal charges. I felt the room spinning. My perfect husband, my stable life, my children's father, it was all built on lies. There's something else, Rebecca said quietly. Look at the timestamp on this last email. It was sent yesterday at 2:47 p.m. While he was on the phone with me, lying about his mother's car, he was typing to Amanda, Sarah's getting suspicious. Might need to accelerate our timeline. Start looking at houses in New Jersey. We need to be ready to move fast. They were planning to disappear. I didn't wait for David to come home. Instead, I drove to Hoboken with Rebecca and a process server she'd called. Amanda Morrison lived in a luxury apartment complex called Harbor Point, Unit 847. The rent, I'd discovered from David's hidden bank statements, was $3,200 a month. My husband was paying for it. Amanda answered the door holding a toddler who looked exactly like Jake had at that age. She was prettier than her photos, wearing yoga pants and an NYU sweatshirt, my alma mater. David's sweatshirt, I realized. One I'd bought him for Christmas 3 years ago. Are you Sarah? She asked quietly. You know who I am? David said you might come. He said you were having a breakdown, that you were dangerous. Rebecca stepped forward, showing her Bar Association ID. Ms. Morrison, I'm Mrs. Mitchell's attorney. We're here to serve you with papers regarding your relationship with David Mitchell and his financial obligations to you and the child. Amanda's face crumbled. I didn't know he was married when we met. Not at first. By the time I found out I was pregnant and he promised he was leaving you. He said you didn't love him anymore, that you were just staying together for the kids. The false lies he'd told her were almost as cruel as the lies he'd told me. When did you find out about me? I asked. About 6 months ago. I found your wedding picture in his wallet. I confronted him and he said he was working on the divorce, that lawyers were involved, that it was complicated because of your mental health issues. Rebecca was recording everything on her phone. Amanda consented, desperate to tell someone the truth after months of lies. He told me you were bipolar, that you'd threaten to hurt yourself and the kids if he left. He said he was protecting everyone by waiting. My phone rang. David. Don't answer it, Rebecca advised. But I did. Sarah, where are you? Mrs. Peterson next door said she saw you leave with Rebecca. What's going on? I'm standing in your girlfriend's apartment, David, looking at your daughter. Silence. Then, Sarah, I can explain everything. I'm sure you can. The police will want to hear all about it. Police? Sarah, don't do anything crazy. Think about Emma and Jake. I am thinking about them. I'm thinking about how their father is a lying, stealing piece of shit who's been stealing from their college funds to play house with his mistress. Amanda winced at mistress. Even she had standards. Sarah, I'm coming over there. No, you're not. You're going to go home, pack your things, and get out of my house. Rebecca's already filed for an emergency restraining order. If you come within 100 feet of Amanda's building, you'll be arrested. I hung up and looked at Amanda, who was crying now, holding the toddler close. What's your daughter's name? I asked gently. Lily. Lily Rose Morrison Mitchell. Even their child had his name. The audacity was breathtaking. The next 6 months unfolded like a legal hurricane with me at the eye of the storm. David's world didn't just collapse, it imploded with nuclear force. First came the criminal charges. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit got involved when Rebecca discovered David had been using not just our personal accounts, but his company's client escrow funds to support Amanda and Lily. The Securities and Exchange Commission suspended his license pending investigation. Goldman Sachs fired him immediately and froze his accounts. The total amount he'd stolen, $847,000, over 2 years, but that was just the beginning. The IRS audit Rebecca triggered revealed years of tax fraud. David had been claiming Amanda and Lily as dependents on a separate tax return while still filing jointly with me. He owed $156,000 in back taxes and penalties. The civil court proceedings were brutal. Judge Patricia Williams of Westchester County Family Court was a former prosecutor who'd seen every kind of matrimonial fraud. When she reviewed the evidence, her verdict was swift and merciless. I got 75% of all marital assets, including our house. David was ordered to pay $8,500 monthly in spousal support and $30,200 in child support for Emma and Jake. His 401k, worth $490,000, was split with me receiving $350,000, but the real justice came from an unexpected source. Amanda Morrison hired her own attorney and sued David for fraud and emotional distress. She'd left her job as a marketing coordinator at a startup in Brooklyn, gave up her own apartment, and isolated herself from her family, all because David promised they'd be married within the year. When she discovered he'd lied to her as much as he'd lied to me, her fury was magnificent to witness. Her lawsuit sought $200,000 in damages. She got $150,000. David's brother Michael, a real estate developer in Los Angeles, had co-signed on some of David's business ventures. When those ventures collapsed due to the criminal charges, Michael lost his own house and filed bankruptcy. The family civil war that followed was spectacular. David's parents, who'd loved me like a daughter for 12 years, chose me in the divorce. They established college funds for Emma and Jake and haven't spoken to David since. The criminal trial was set for spring 2025, with David facing up to 10 years in federal prison for wire fraud and securities violations. But the most satisfying moment came on a snowy February morning when I dropped the kids off at their new school. Public school now, but a good one. Emma looked up at me as we walked to the entrance. Mom, are you happy that Daddy doesn't live with us anymore? I thought about it honestly. I'm sad that things couldn't be different, sweetheart, but I'm happy that we don't have to wonder about secrets anymore. We know the truth now, and the truth helps us make better decisions. Even if the truth hurts, especially when the truth hurts. Jake, always the practical one, tugged on my coat. Mom, when will we know if Daddy goes to jail? In a few months, buddy. Will we visit him? I knelt down to his level. Do you want to? He thought about it seriously. Maybe. He's still our daddy, even if he made really bad choices. That evening, I stood in the kitchen of our house, my house now, making dinner for just the 3 of us. The financial stress was real. My yoga instructor salary wasn't enough to maintain our previous lifestyle. But I'd started teaching corporate wellness classes and picked up private clients. Rebecca was helping me explore starting my own wellness center. Amanda texted me occasionally. We'd formed an unlikely alliance, both victims of David's spectacular selfishness. She was doing well, working at a new company in Manhattan, and little Lily was thriving. We'd agreed the children should know each other eventually. They were, after all, half-siblings. As I watched Emma and Jake doing homework at the kitchen table, I realized David's betrayal had given me something unexpected: complete control over my life for the first time in years. No more wondering where money was going. No more feeling like something was wrong but not knowing what. No more living with a stranger who wore my husband's face. The house felt different now, lighter, despite everything. Like a lie had been lifted from the foundation, and we could finally build something real. Standing here today, 6 months after the worst day of my life, I want you to know something important. When the ground falls out from under you, you discover muscles you never knew you had. You find strength in places you never thought to look. If you're watching this and something feels wrong in your relationship, trust that feeling. If money is disappearing, if explanations don't add up, if your partner seems like a stranger wearing a familiar face, investigate. You deserve the truth even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. My yoga practice taught me that balance comes not from avoiding the storm, but from finding your center within it. The same is true for life. Sometimes everything has to fall apart before you can build something authentic. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to this channel. I'll be sharing more stories about survival, resilience, and the incredible strength we find when we stop living other people's lives. Together, we can face any truth, no matter how devastating. Hit that notification bell, because next week, I'm sharing how Amanda and I are working together to help other women spot the warning signs of financial infidelity before it's too late. Remember, you are stronger than your worst day, braver than your biggest fear, and worthy of a life built on truth. Thank you for listening to my story. Now go live yours.